on the show on the full English. For some reason, Rumble, there's been some strange stuff going on with Rumble. This has happened to me before. They seem, but I don't think it's Rumble. I think it's YouTube and Twitter itself has created something in the background. So if anyone wants to watch the show tonight, tune in on Rumble. Just search for the full English show on there. Click on subscribe, and then click the button that says instant, and you'll know. But I go live every night, Monday through Friday. The only time I ever, and I've done it for a long time now, and I've been doing these lives 8 o'clock every night. I was on Facebook. It banned me a long time ago, right? But I am going to be talking again about, and hopefully sharing some stuff from Rupert Lowe. Not, although I do think the number one most important thing is deport majorly, right? So in England, we've always had something called banishment in common law and constitutionally, right? You need to return to that. The bit that's causing the problem is the Roman law jurisdiction. I am going to be briefly covering that tonight as well, so people understand what I'm talking about. It's not rocket science. It's really simple, but for some strange reason, and it's like an oven in this car at the minute. So, some strange reason, people don't understand that unionism is a stepping stone to globalization. It always has been, right? Any form of empire, unionism, etc. It is what I talk about with England and dominions rather than colonies. And again, people are not. This is where this psychological reframing comes in. They change all of the meanings, and again, a lot of these free man of the land types, they are very good at confusing people. You know, you got people that are free man of the land have started talking about all these trusts, and I did this with a trust and done, and then they don't actually realise that trusts is tribunals. Tribunals are what? Tribunals, no jury. It's equity law, right? And it's just a judge listening and then going through the process. There's no juries. There's no common law involved, right? But the most important thing that I want to talk about tonight, and there's a few things about Rupert Lowe, there's other things that they've spoke about, and I'm going to make sure I emphasise this to people. Rupert Lowe was talking about the judicial system being corrupt. It is. He was talking about lawyers and solicitors in particular, right, being parasites. They are. They've created a monopoly, and from the Roman law system, you're now being pushed towards a Roman law jurisdiction. Incompleteness is that is what you're looking at. The only way you can reverse yourself out of that completely is to take Roman law jurisdiction out of an English parliament, right? And I'll explain it briefly again tonight. A lot of these people are not understanding what is actually going on. It's not difficult, it's simple, but these people in the background, psychological reframing has happened to everyone, and I'm going to say this, potentially even Rupert Lowe, right? Because there's other things he talks about, which I'm very positive about him talking about it and understanding it. And one of the things that he talks about is banking. Now, it's crucially important to understand that any form of centralisation, whether it be central banking, centralised governance, centralised X, centralised Y, right? Anything centralised to London in particular is bad for the home nations, right? Because they need to, and again, England used to have lots of banks, right? We need to go back to that model. They need to be lightly regulated, because otherwise you're just going to get spivs in the city of London who are crooks taking control of the finances of the nation, and that's exactly what they've done. What most people don't realise is that the currency you all use, you call it a currency, you call it money, you can call it whatever you like, 93% of that is issued by private banks. And so Devon needs to have its own bank again, right? And there needs to be competition. I can go into Exeter and show you different banks that used to be here hundreds of years ago, now gone. It's the City of London that has destroyed that, right? There's lots of things that Rupert talks about and has talked about, and I'm going to see if I can find the clips and go through it for you, right? But the number one situation is to close our borders, get rid of all the illegals, empty our prisons. What I want people to do is to understand that they are going to mess about with me, particularly. They don't like what I'm saying, and the reason they don't like the system at the moment, with monopoly, is bad for us as people. Centralisation. In other words, the people of Gloucester run Gloucestershire, right? A shire, and the people of Devonshire, right? Once people understand what I'm talking about, and it's not rocket science, it's easy, right? But tune in to the full show tonight, and I'll talk through it. But Rupert Lowe is saying a lot of positive things. He's talking about things that no one else has ever dared bring up. And I like that. And it's not just about immigration. You need a plan and a process that makes sure England comes back, and you restore England, you restore the wealth of England, and the people of England all work together to do that, right? You will never do it as part of a union, right? And the strongest point of that is because Scotland is Roman law jurisdiction, and it is for the Scots to stop that, not the English. Otherwise, what you're creating here, and that's what the globalists are pushing towards, is we the breakup is coming. It's whether or not there's violence or not, or no violence. That's the way I see this. What they're really pushing for is a breakup like you saw in Yugoslavia, right? That's what they're pushing for. What I'm saying is the breakup will happen, must happen, right? But we need to do it on a diplomatic front. And the only way you can stop the breakup in the same way as Yugoslavia is to vote, right? But they also need to restore Britain. So have people at the table that talk about England. I like what Rupert Lowe's saying. Again, I'm watching more and more, especially recently, and I don't like there's some things I don't like what's going on, and I'll discuss that later on today. But that's it. And I am now currently, I've switched off the aircon for 2 seconds. I'm in a petrol garage doing my washing, believe it or not, because where I live is too small for a washing machine. And I've got no garden, so I can't dry anything. So you need a washing dryer. It's almost impossible to get one in my place, right? It's too small. Listen, I'm not some billionaire talking shit to you. I'm telling you the experience of what I've seen. And don't forget, Rupert Lowe is absolutely correct when he says the judiciary are corrupt to the core, right? One of the things I'm seeing, and I don't like it, is there seems to be two camps. One is a fascist camp, right, or pushing towards fascism, and one is communism. They're both bad. They're both non-English, right? They're both ideologies that shouldn't be part of England, right? The third option is you go back to being English, common law, constitution. This is how we operate. We don't want any part of this anymore. That's the only way to do it. And again, we can get on with most people. There's no issue with that. But you do need to deport these people, and be very careful with people out there that are in or have been in mixed race relationships, right, with their own agendas, right? All I'm saying is the law says, our constitution says, that if you're not born of English parents, and for the record, that means you could still be Scottish, Welsh, or Irish, and in the English Parliament, right? But if you had a Polish, German, French, Congo, whatever foreign country it is, and they are one of your parents or grandparent, you would not be able to have any position of authority, profit, or be in any position. Like Sadiq Khan could not be the mayor of London, right? The other thing that I'm really worried about is, even with Restore Britain, they have structured in regions. Regions are a European Union concept, right? Can you see how much I'm sweating? I've only turned the aircon off for 5 minutes. It's me again. Which means I won't be able to do anything. So I'm going to end the live stream and I'll speak to you later. Tune in to things we need to talk about. How do I end this?